At the home of the American High Commissioner, the Japanese lowered the American flag, and a Japanese sailor ground his feet into it, replacing it with the rising sun, as the band played Kimi Gayo. General Homa erroneously believed that once his forces occupied Manila, the capital of the Philippines, the battle would be over. That's what he thought. And he was quite slow to recognize that his true prize had just escaped to Bataan, and that victory was not secured. So after capturing Manila, Homa faced an unexpected dilemma. Japanese High Command ordered the 48th Division, his very best soldiers, to leave the Philippines to assist in the invasion of Java. However, Homa felt he still needed them for mopping up operations. The 48th Division had been commanded on December the 30th to advance and seal off Bataan from anyone attempting to escape. So between January the 2nd and the 4th, American forces scrambled to open a road from San Fernando to Dinalfian, excuse me for mispronouncing that one, which lays at the neck of the peninsula, just as the Southern Luzon force was pushing through to reach Bataan as well. It took an incredible effort to keep this narrow road open, allowing the Southern Luzon force to make it into Bataan safely. An incredible achievement. The 48th Division reached the defensive lines just in front of Bataan, where Homa requested to retain the division for at least an additional month, but he would be denied. Consequently, the 48th was replaced by the 65th Summer Brigade from Formosa, a unit comprising 7,700 men.
Summer Brigade?
Oh, that's why they're called the Summer Brigade. They're mostly older, undertrained, and ill-equipped, frontline, not frontline duty kind of guys. This is like the reserve. This is like the National Guard, basically, kind of troops. Their commander was Lieutenant General Akira Nara, who was very unprepared for the circumstances that he was going to be presented. On the night of January the 5th, Nara led his troops towards the front on foot, with exhausted men struggling after crossing over 184 destroyed bridges. They approached Bataan, now filled with 15,000 Americans and 65,000 Filipino troops. The defenders
with a lot of civilians.
Yes. The defenders faced a catastrophic food situation. Starting on the 5th, MacArthur placed his troops on half rations, but in reality, they received much less than this. His mismanagement of War Plan Orange 3 resulted in severe logistical failures in supplying Bataan. Troops were going to be surviving on about 1,000 to 1,500 calories per day, and this is at the beginning. By the end of the January, they would only have about 11 days worth of meat and fish, 6 days of flour, 4 days of vegetables. Over 50 million bushels of rice stored in central Luzon had not been moved to Bataan due to his blunder. Could have sustained MacArthur's forces for up to 4 years if they somehow could defend. Wainwright confided in one Major Trap Chapnell of the 26th Cavalry, saying this quote, "I don't worry about the Japs. I worry about the Chows." So, if you think about it,
and army on its stomach, so
yeah, these American troops are not going to have food, so they're going to be in unhealthy states, more open to getting diseases, and like 80% of them are going to succumb to malaria and other tropical diseases. So yeah, it's not a good situation by any means.
I think Greg, you would attest to that in a lot of your other videos, right? Like the Aleutian Islands campaign, for example, like the state of nutrition the Japs were getting, that ensure that the combat effectiveness is reducing rapidly.
Exactly.
It's the same logic.
Alongside the food and the disease issues, there was another problem, that of resentment. MacArthur ordered larger rations for the American troops in Bataan, and that wouldn't sit very well with the Filipino forces, as you can imagine. One Antonio Aquino, the son of sugar baron Benigno Aquino, risked his life swimming 1.5 miles from Bataan to Corregidor to warn President Quezon of the growing rift between the American and Filipino forces. This is what he reported. "We feel we should have the same rations as the Americans." As you would imagine. Antonio noted that the rift was not only between Americans and Filipinos, but amongst American units. MacArthur had ordered his chief of staff, our brilliant friend General Sutherland, to remove the 4th Marines from general recommendations for presidential unit citations, arguing, "The Marines have had enough glory in World War I."
Is it just because they're Navy units?
Yeah,
I think that's the main reason.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the Navy also hated him back, so all right. It's an equal relation.
MacArthur's
they are his greatest enemy.
Yeah. MacArthur's forces dug in with what's going to be called the Abuque-Malbin Line, which cuts across the very northern end of the peninsula, across the flank of the dormant volcano Mount Netib. MacArthur was receiving clear signals from Washington that he should not expect much in the way of any timely rescue. And he told his troops on January the 15th this quote: "Help is on the way from the United States. Thousands of troops and hundreds of planes are being dispatched. No further retreat is possible. We have more troops in Bataan than the Japanese have thrown against us. Our supplies are ample. A determined defense will defeat the enemy's attack. I call upon every soldier in Bataan to fight in his assigned position, resisting every attack. This is the only road to salvation. If we fight, we will win. If we retreat, we will be destroyed."
I get why he would make such a speech. You got to keep the morale up to you for your men. But
so MacArthur, who's supposed to be sitting on about 6 months of war provisions for 45,000 men or so in Bataan, he's sitting on about 30 days worth, and I mean he's going to be rationing the hell out of that. They call the guys who fight in this the battling bastards of Bataan for good reason. It was horrendous, but they did exceedingly well. We're going to be covering the battle for Bataan, which is going to take some time. That's the meat and potatoes of this campaign. That's why I've kind of rushed we're calling this the invasion, but a lot of people would break this into the initial invasions of the coastline, and then the attack on Manila and the retreat to Bataan should have been their own things. But I thought the meat and potatoes is going to be the battle for Bataan, and the next few episodes we're going to look at that. The last episode will be the fall of Corregidor.
I think it's quite evident, right? Because like most of the campaign is focused on the defense of the Bataan Peninsula.
Exactly.
And it was just like kind of, in a way, almost I would say relatively anticlimactic the way the rest of Luzon fell in comparison.
Yes, of course. Yeah. We will also be covering the fall of all of the different parts of the Philippine Islands, which happens throughout the campaign itself. There is some interesting actions there. It's a little bit of guerrilla action, we might talk about. But we're not going to talk about everything that goes till 45, for example. The campaign to retake the Philippines will be an entire other series, for that matter. And that's a lot longer. That's extensive episodes, to say the least. But before we let you go, I just want to say, if you'd like to further support the channel, please consider checking out our YouTube membership or our Patreon account at www.patreon.com/Pacific War Channel. By joining either, you get access to the exclusive podcast series, early access to all the content I make, and voting rights to the subjects I will tackle next. Gaurav, thank you for being a hostage to this situation.
I'll return the favor soon. It's a future episode.
Yes.
Don't worry about that.
We're going to be covering the Battle of the Atlantic soon. That's going to be exciting. So there's a lot coming. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, please comment things you want to hear about in the future. We're not exclusively to the Pacific War. We cover any history you can possibly imagine. 100 Years' War, for example. Let us know. And until next time, bye.